In this video, we're going to go over the install process for Ubuntu 14.04. Now here I am in the first screen of the install after I've booted from the DVD. I'm working inside of a virtual machine in this demo, so I'm not too worried about installing it directly, so I'm going to use the full install. If you're working inside of Windows and you've booted your main computer up with this DVD, you might want to try Ubuntu first, which will let you run it directly from the DVD or CD. Or you can install it either over top of your current operating system or alongside of it. But if you're doing that, I recommend installing it or backing up everything before you install it and not installing it directly because you could lose a lot of information. So be careful which choice you pick if you're installing it on your computer. Now, since I'm working in a virtual machine, a fresh virtual machine, I don't have that concern. So I'm just going to go and install Ubuntu. And if you'd like to work in a different language, there's quite a long list here of languages that Ubuntu supports. Some that are not even in English or Latin character sets. So I have selected English, and I'm going to install Ubuntu. So we have this information here, so we need 6.5 gigabytes of available space, and it's connected to the internet. Now I want to download updates while installing because there's a lot of security patches since the DVD image was created. Every day there's new updates to improve the software on your computer. So I want to do that right away. And then third-party software, if you need to use Flash or MP3 or various what they'd call non-free or proprietary software, Ubuntu has this option. I'm going to leave it unchecked for now and continue to the next step. So here's the option. So we can erase our current hard drive or hard disk and install Ubuntu. Now, if you have another operating system like Windows, this is where you have to be very, very careful that you don't overwrite anything you have. Since I'm working from an empty hard drive, an empty VirtualBox hard drive, I'm going to erase and install. Now we can have it encrypted. I'm not going to do that for this demo, and I'm not going to set up logical volume management. Or if you have multiple partitions on your hard drive, you could go to something else. So if you have one partition on your hard drive for Windows and another one for Ubuntu and maybe another one for some other operating system, you can do that here. But the easiest thing is erase disk and install Ubuntu if you're sure everything you have on your system is backed up. And I'll go install now. And it tells me the changes that are going to be made on the disk, the partition, the type of file system. It's using the X4 file system. That's fine. We'll continue. It'll ask to select where we are. I'm currently fairly close to Halifax. This is the time zone that I'm in, but you can click over the map and click near where you are, or you can enter the city you're in. I can enter a city and it'll give me some options wherever I might be. In this case, I'm going to select Halifax, and that's in Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia. And click continue. Now my keyboard layout is US English, and I've got US English, so that's my keyboard layout. If you have a different keyboard layout, say if you're English in the UK or English in Canada or some other place, you can select it. And now we put our name in. I'll put my name. I'll leave the defaults. Username, it's usually either your first name. I've seen people put their last name in, first initial and last name, or first name and last initial. There's various ways you could do that, or your full name. Choose a password, choose something secure. I recommend having something you can easily type in and memorize, but that's at least 8 or 10 or more characters long, as long as you can remember it. Now, if you don't remember it, you'll have trouble getting into your system, and it will be a problem. Now, we could also select login automatically or require a password to log in. Now, I'm going to put a password in, something I can remember. Let me get this right. It'll even tell me if it's fairly weak. Maybe I'll pick something stronger. There. Now pick something of your own and hit continue. I'm going to require a password to log in because it's a more secure system. Now it's going to do a full download and a full copy of the files from the DVD image. And this is the part that's going to take the longest. If you want, you can click through these arrows here and read some things about Ubuntu. It gives you various things about the music player, Rhythm Box, its Shotwell Photo Manager, things you can install like the GIMP image editor or Pitivi video editor. It gives you something to do while it's copying and downloading files. And if you click this little arrow here, it'll show you which files or what it's currently doing in this little console box here. This will take a while to download. It comes installed with LibreOffice, which is a free office suite. So it's the free alternative to Microsoft Office or an alternative to OpenOffice. And some information about accessories and accessibility. So here, ask Ubuntu for questions, and that's, or you can get support from ubuntu.com/support. So that's the end of these little teaser windows or little things you can read while the install process is going on. At one time, when we installed Linux operating system, like back about 20 years ago, we used to have to catalog all of the hardware in our system. So we'd have to know what type of modem we had, the processor speed, the resolutions our monitor would support, how many megs of RAM our video card had. So there's a lot of cataloging you had to do just before you do the install. It was a very manual process. We didn't have this automatic install process as we do now. So Ubuntu and many others now have very nice graphical user interface to install it, all these automatic hardware detections, this plug and play type of functionality. It makes our life a lot easier. It's less painstaking to get up and running with a Linux desktop computer, and it supports quite an incredible amount of software. So here it's going to take a little bit of time to go through this software install procedure. So I'm going to pause the video now and come back when we've come to the end of this install process. Once the installation is complete, you'll get a dialog asking you to restart your computer. Now you can restart, and it should bring you into the login screen of your new Ubuntu installation. So here I'm booting up Ubuntu 14.04 inside of VirtualBox, and here it brings me to my login screen. I'm just going to move the window a little bit, and I'll put my password in. So here it comes up with my option for my name, and I put in my password that I selected during the install procedure, hit enter, and it should bring me to the Ubuntu desktop for the first time. Now in this case, the resolution is set very small. We could go in and reset that inside the settings menu, but we're up and running now in our Ubuntu desktop. And that concludes this video on installing Ubuntu 14.04.